Peace, family, peace. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Living Proof Show with yours truly, the Love Alchemist. Let me go ahead and share this out as you guys come in. Do me a favor, hit that like button and share this video. Please hit that like button and share this video while I take about 30 seconds to do the same. Let me see. Let me share this video out. Let me see. Just a couple places. Y'all do the same for me. Hit that like button, share this video. I would like to have an interesting conversation about fools for love. I think that's an interesting topic. And I want to know, how have we been impacted by such a thing? So give me another minute or two so I can, not a minute or two, I'm not going to take quite that long, but I am going to share this video out. Let me see. My fan on? Yep, it's warm in here. All right. Fuzz Lights Diller, how you doing, sis? Thank you for joining. All right. So let me get this up. And let's get into it. All right. So welcome to the show. I'm your host, Vaughn. You know me, also known as the Love Alchemist. And of course, I specialize in confidential marriage and relationship consultation and coaching. And, you know, I live by the motto that successful couples are not successful because they do extraordinary things. Not at all. They're successful because they do ordinary things better than other couples. So be better. You can do it. I can help. You know, like I always say, it's not hard work. It's hard work. Y'all do me a favor as you come in, hit that like button, share that video. Fuzz Light, she says, I'm well, I'm ready. All right. All right. So let me see. Let me pull some things up here. I took a couple notes because I wanted to, be a little bit more comprehensive. What's up, Aya? How you doing, sis? Good to see you. Hope the family is well. Let me see. Before we get into it, I did want to touch on a couple of current events. Did y'all hear about Master P's daughter? Yeah, Master P's 29-year-old daughter died, I think, yesterday. Either yesterday or the day. Yeah, I think it was just yesterday. Let me pull this article real quick. Master P's daughter, her name is Tatiana Miller, and she died Sunday. Yeah, so that was 2 days ago. And let me see, I can pull a picture up for those of y'all who don't know. I think everybody pretty much knows who Master P is. I don't even think I have to show that. But Aya says, we are wonderful. Hope you and your lovely family are well. Yep, we are. Fuzz Light says she passed due to drugs and mental health diagnosis. Yeah, 29 years old. What up, Garen Black? How you doing, bro? 29 years old. Dang, I lost the article. But yeah, Master P, you know, of course, they want privacy and their privacy to be respected. So love and light to that family. But one of the things that Master P did point out was, you know, of course, like we all know that, you know, substance abuse and addiction and mental illness is real. And so in that, he's alluding to the idea that, you know, that's basically what she succumbed to. And of course, that's horrible. You know, we hate to lose anybody due to stuff like that. I mean, we hate to lose anybody, period. But, you know, love and light to that family, man. That's horrible. 29 years old, lovely young lady. She seemed to be doing well herself financially, but ultimately she succumbed to, you know, to mental illness and substance abuse. Moving right along, have y'all heard about Ricky Williams? Ricky Williams, ex-NFL football star. He changed his last name. Let me see. Before I go on, let's see. Fuzz Light says mental illness is real, and we have to keep that in mind when we deal with people every day. Be mindful of how we treat each other and show each other grace. These are facts. Look, I'm telling you, everybody you meet is fighting some kind of personal battle that you know nothing about. And so for that reason, among other reasons, I say be kind to everybody, man, because you never know when something you say or something you do might be the thing that, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back, you know, the thing that pushes them over the edge. So yeah, I agree with that 100%. We got to be mindful of how we treat each other, how we deal with each other. Let me see here. Let me get rid of this picture. I want y'all, I don't know if y'all remember Ricky Williams. He was drafted, I think he was drafted by the New Orleans Saints, and then he played for the Dolphins. Let me see. Can I share my screen? Let me see. Share screen. All right. Window. Here we go. Can y'all see that? Let me know if y'all can see that. Ricky Williams, ex-NFL football great. Let me see. Say Ricky been gone. Yeah. Yeah. Ricky was wild even when they drafted him, man. Ricky was a wild card. I don't know if y'all remember, but he was drafted by the Saints because Coach Mike Ditka was the one who drafted him. And Ricky Williams, I should have pulled that picture up too. He had him in a wedding dress, man. Yeah. Garen Black said, yep, he was in a wedding dress. Yeah, Ricky Williams, former Dolphin star Ricky Williams, takes his wife's last name, as he says, in order to create balance. What y'all think about that? Is that becoming more common now? Men taking women's last name to quote unquote create balance in the marriage? What's that about? Is that something? This is new to me. I haven't seen much of that at all. What y'all think about that? He took his wife's last name and he says to create balance. Garen Black says feminism. Yeah, maybe so. That might be part of it. I mean, I don't know whose idea it was. I haven't heard them speak on it. I just, saw a little bit of the article. So could it be? It could be feminism. I don't know if she's the one pushing the issue or what, but for as like said, she keeping that money in her family. Yeah, ain't no doubt about that. No doubt about that. Oh man, y'all do me a favor if you didn't already, hit that like button, share this video, and let me see, put up my little scroller there. I'm a little man. I worked a long day today, so I just got in, so I'm running a little bit behind. I'm a little bit scrambled, but here we are in the place, still making it do what it do. I got another question for y'all, man. There is a sentiment around the world that is really kind of coming, seems relatively new to the United States, but this idea of leftover women. So something to the effect that women over 25 to 30, roughly 30 years old, I think it is, that they're considered leftover women. What y'all think about that? Does that sound about right to y'all? Do you think that that's accurate? That once a woman hits 30 years old, that she's considered a leftover woman? This is interesting to me because, of course, this is my space, but apparently this is common. I saw a meme. I didn't get a chance to research it, but I saw a meme that showing that this is a common sentiment in China, all throughout Asia. Let me see if I can pull that meme up. It was, let me see. It was, I wish I had it so I could pull it up for y'all, but Taiwan, Kenya, Afghanistan, Nigeria, China, Pakistan, and Brazil, and India, just to name a few. But the common sentiment is that if you're unmarried, let's say, for instance, in China, and you're over 27, that makes you a leftover woman. What do y'all think about that? My man Pete says, yep, that makes you a leftover woman. Yeah. Wow. I was watching this reality show. I forget the name of it, but it's a reality show based in India, and this Indian woman is a matchmaker. See, Garen Black says, "Nah, but it depends." But I get it in the cultural context. Yeah, there's this reality show in India, and the woman she's a matchmaker, and they're really strict on their matchmaking. The criteria, I mean, like as far as the man, if the woman, for instance, is calling for the man, he has to be 6 feet tall, and has to have a certain background that she's looking for, a certain family type of dynamic that she's looking for. And the same thing with the men, that they're all very selective. But I think what tripped me out in that was in conjunction with this article about about this meme about the women being leftovers. What I found is that in India, they put pressure on the men as well to be married by 25. And the parents, if the man is unmarried by the time he's 25, the parents actually start getting nervous about their unmarried son. So Bernard Brown, good afternoon, brother. Pete says Dennis Spurlock broke it down. It has to do with taxes and income. Bernard Brown, peace, brother. Good to see you. For his life says, nah, that's like saying a divorced man is damaged and can't find another woman. Also that, or he is damaged because his wife divorced him, etc. All right. P says unmarried women generally require social service and protection. All right. I wonder, is that true? I guess that's true throughout the world, huh? So part of the reason, and I guess that kind of ties into what we're experiencing here in America. The dynamic that we're experiencing here in America is because more women are able to be self-sufficient here, or I should say, yeah, more women are able to be self-sufficient here in America, which, to Peter's point, unmarried women generally require social services. I guess maybe based on the dynamic here in America, that becomes still a factor, but less so here in America, because unlike in many other countries, in America, women are better able to fend for themselves. So maybe that's the difference. I don't know, because I in all these years, here in America, I never heard the idea that a woman over 25 or nearing 30, we hear about hitting the wall and things like that, but I never heard about the term leftover. But again, and in watching that show in India, it just kind of tripped me out that that there's social pressure put on the men as well. Peter says, not really. Most women in America rely on social services. Is that true? Most women in America rely on social services? That is interesting. That is interesting. So, but again, I think one of the things that, because we've been hearing a lot of conversation here in America about this leftover idea, and the pressure is primarily put on the women. And I get it that I think there should be some pressure on people to be more serious and practice more urgency towards marriage. I think that's a healthy cultural ideal, but I don't think it's healthy for all of the pressure or even the bulk of the pressure to be put on the women and none on the men. So in that idea, I like the way that India is moving, because there's pressure also put on the men to marry. And I think that that's a healthy ideal when you're talking about moving a culture in a healthy direction or in a constructive direction. Because I mean, if you think about it, if you put all of the pressure on the women to get married, but there's no pressure on the men to marry them, then who are the women getting excited for? Who are they being pressured to marry if the men have no pressure to marry? So there has to be some sort of pressure put on both parties, so that there can be some healthy ideas about the marriage dynamic. I don't know. Y'all tell me if you think I'm off course with that. I think there needs to be pressure across the board, social pressure, peer pressure. And in this reality show, the mother of one of the young men, I think he was 27, and she was real nervous about the fact that her son hadn't yet gotten married. And his brother was putting pressure, like, man, you need to choose, you need to do something about this. And so there's pressure from the parents, but there's also pressure from peers. His friends was telling him he needed to, make a move, be more serious. I don't know, it just kind of, to me, it just makes sense that the pressure should be uh, spread out a bit. Deja says it makes sense for the pressure to be put on the man because they're the ones who propose. That makes sense too. That makes two. Hey, as y'all come in, man, hit that like button, share this video, invite a friend. I want to get this conversation cracking. I think that's a healthy ideal too. Again, I don't think that the pressure should just be put on one party or the other. I think that both parties have to experience some sort of social pressure or peer pressure, familial pressure to, you know what I mean? It's like if you're in America, is kind of a free for all type of society, right? And it's almost like do whatever you want to do, whatever makes you happy. Very individualistic here, but in a lot of these other countries, like India, China, outside of America, there's much more of a collectivity or collective, what's good for the collective type of idea. So I think when cultures are trying to grow, trying to become more a stronger player on the world stage, then there's a greater sense of what we need to do. Whereas in America, I think, being the wealthiest nation or one of the wealthiest nations, people do whatever they want to do. So then it's more along the lines of, what do I feel like doing? The hell with what my family might want. What about me? What do I want? And I think that's largely what contributes to much of the dysfunction that we're experiencing in America. Peter says, men lost the want for marriage because women are not as cooperative and submissive. Heavy. Men lost the want, I guess, or desire for marriage because women are not as cooperative and submissive. And he says also, women have become more promiscuous. Let me ask you this, family. Let's see. And Deja says we've lost sight of legacy. Let me ask you this. To Peter's point here, women have become more promiscuous. Let me ask you this. Do you think that, because many cultures promote the idea of sowing your wild oats, men sowing our wild oats, right? Do you think that creates an imbalance in a society or in a culture where men are encouraged to have sex, sow your wild oats, not be chaste or not show up to the marriage as a virgin, whereas women are encouraged, like, so there's this kind of double standard, right? So the question is that a healthy double standard, or do you think that's an unhealthy double standard? And I'm asking that because, Pete raised this question that women have become more promiscuous, where I don't think it's not seen as a problem when men are promiscuous, but it is seen as a problem when women are promiscuous. I'm asking you, family, do you think that that's a healthy double standard for men to basically get it out of our system, but for women to remain chaste, remain as close to being a virgin as possible? What do you think about that? Fuzz Light says, I don't agree with the promiscuous part regarding women. You saying you don't think women have become more promiscuous? Peter says, yes. I guess he's saying yes, he thinks that's a healthy double standard. Fuzz Light says, you don't think that. I don't agree with the promiscuous part regarding women. Okay, got you. I don't know. This is why I'm a marriage coach and a relationship coach. I'm not on the dating scene. So I'm kind of, disconnected from what single people are feeling on that level. Deja says it's an unhealthy double standard. I kind of lean in that direction a little bit more too, because look, man, I think that I think people underestimate the power of the connection that takes place in a healthy sexual arrangement. That's one. And then two, Peter says sex is over advertised. I agree completely. And because of that, we are a hypersexualized society, and in that, I think we've lost the value, and I'll even say we've lost the respect for what sex actually means, right? So now it's just a nut, right? Whatever feels good, do whatever, put it wherever, you know, bring as many people as you want. I mean, it's all just a big, it's just a nut, right? Everybody just wants to have fun and do whatever feels good, but that I don't think that's healthy, man. And I think that the more sexual partners we have, and I think this is true for men and women, the more sexual partners we have in life, I think the more challenging it becomes to establish a meaningful connection with one person. I don't know. Tell me if you think I'm off base with that. Fuzzlight says every woman is different, every man is different. Either way, it's unhealthy and takes away from developing positive and healthy relationships. Yeah, I agree with that. Deja says there's no way to know if women are more promiscuous. Maybe he's saying women aren't as modest. Okay, in which I'm not sure how much that has to do with anything. I hear that. I hear that. I do think modesty is an important. I think modesty is important. Um, I think modesty, because if you think about it, just, and maybe it's me showing off my cultural conditioning being here in America. But I like to think that there's something special about my woman, and not only that, but that the more intimate details of who she is, whether how voluptuous her breast might be or how fine she is physically, I kind of want a lot. I want the majority of that to be reserved for me. I'm kind of selfish, and I like for that to be reserved for me. I'm not saying that she needs to be, head wrap and, gown. I mean, I don't mind her showing the figure off, but I'm talking about just popping out everywhere and, tight, super short. I don't. I'm more traditional. I'm more reserved, and I kind of appreciate the fact that my woman is modest. Let me see. Deja says people expect single women to act like they're in a relationship. And see, so single women out here trying to catch, right? So she might be wearing a little something, a little extra snug, or a little shorter, because she's trying to catch. But I think you got to be mindful of what bait you're using when you're trying to catch, because the bait that you're fishing with is likely what the type of thing you're gonna end up catching too. So there's a line. I think there's a line. Pete says, what I mean over advertised. Imagine the women and men likes and sees her as a potential wife or mother, but she's twerking on the ground. Right. I'm with you on that. 110%. 110%. I doubt very seriously that a healthy minded man sees a woman twerking and thinks, I can't wait for her to meet my mama. I don't think that's how I wouldn't be thinking like that. If anything, if I was going to spend any time with her at all, she would be a secret. I'm just saying. She would be a secret. Let me see. Fuzz Light says, man, I'm gonna get into this topic because I did want to talk about this food for love thing. Fuzz Light says men and women are afraid of getting hurt and afraid to take the mask off. That part right there. We are missing out on developing positive relationships. Our generation is not like our parents and our grandparents' generation. And look, we can unpack that because there's a lot of meat on that one. Hurt is a real thing, and look, man, to the point that Peter made earlier. He said, "Men spell check." I got you. I know what you meant. That hurtful piece, man, is look. We are such a hypersexualized society that we even got songs about cheating. Like the songs, some of our favorite songs promote cheating, side pieces, jump offs, bust downs, whatever, right? And so people actually don't mind, dipping off or even being the dip. So, man, I think that when you consider, this is one thing that a lot of people don't consider when it comes to the cheating aspect, right? I was reading a study, and there were some sociologists who ran this survey. I think they were sociologists, I forget. But the point is this: people compared the pain of being cheated on to the loss that they experience, the pain of the loss that they experience in losing a child, to the death of a child. Did I say that right? People compared the pain of being cheated on to the pain that they feel when they have a death of a child or a loved one. Why am I bringing that up? I think to the point that Fuzz Lights just mentioned, people being afraid to be hurt, right? That type of pain is so traumatic. Can be, not always, right? Some people get over it faster than others, but on average, generally speaking, the pain from being cheated on can be so traumatic that people often need therapy after stuff like that. But nobody goes to a therapist after that. We just move on and we take that baggage from that pain and that relationship into the next relationship, and now we're making the new relationship pay for the sins of the previous relationship. Look, I always say it this way: if you don't heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you, right? If you don't heal from what hurt you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. Now we're bringing this pain forward into the next relationship and making this new man or this new woman, who might be full of promise, who might actually be a very good, healthy mate for us, or offering us very healthy potential in a relationship, but we're not ready to receive it because we're still traumatized from the previous arrangement. Long way of saying most of us need therapy if we've been hurt in that, or at least some sort of professional counseling. And I think people underestimate just how impactful that pain is. Man, y'all got a lot of conversation going on here. I can't catch up with everybody. Peter says men lose in divorce. I think men do suffer greatly in divorce, especially when it's a frivolous one, or avoid a divorce that could have been avoided. But I think bigger than that, man, I think the family loses in divorce. And ultimately, man, really the community at large loses, the collective loses in divorce. It's not just like there's so much money put on, so much value put on the monetary loss. And I get that nobody likes to lose. But I think there are larger implications, man. And the loss that we're experiencing now, like the fact that our trust factors are so low, and our understanding of how much we actually need each other, that seems to be at an all-time low. So the bigger loss, even bigger than the financial loss, I think, is the impact that it's having. Because now, look, we're raising children. I have grandchildren. All my children are adults. But our grandchildren, like, who are they supposed to get with, man? Who are they supposed to marry? Nobody. It's wild out here. It's wild out here. Let me see. Do we have any other? Peter says, imagine playing your part as a husband. She fails as a wife, but once divorced, she walks away with half and then go be with your best friend. I'm going to keep the language PG, maybe PG-13. But yeah, I feel you on that. That's twofold. Man, that's layered. This kind of goes into the fool for love aspect, right? Because we get married for the wrong reasons. I don't think that people should get married based on strong feelings, just because I love this person. He loves her, she loves him. This is what most people get married based on, just strong feelings rather than real needs, right? How does this person complement my life? How does she or he actually add value to my life? In what ways does this person make my life better? And I think if we started thinking, and it's unfortunate that we have to do this from an individualistic standpoint, whereas, the idea of marriage wasn't designed for us to go out as individuals and find ourselves a wife. This is supposed to be a family involvement. It's supposed to be the joining of families, oftentimes even the joining of cultures. There's supposed to be a much higher ideal surrounding this idea of marriage, rather than just, oh, I love her so much, or she loves me so much. And this is also kind of what keeps the family or the marriage together, because there's supposed to be a lot of shame and embarrassment and letdown around the idea of a failed marriage, because I'm not just failing myself, I'm failing my family. I'm failing my community. I'm failing my culture if I get a divorce, rather than I'm just going to dust my shoulders off, keep it pushing on to the next one, which is what we have now. I hope that makes sense. I hope I'm don't sound like I'm talking in circles here. Let me see. Where we at? Fuzz Light says, men, if they are hurt, you got to unravel the layers like an onion. If you penetrate a man, he will open up and show vulnerability and love. It's a process. I agree with that. And not only is it a process, I think it's in order to experience the really what marriage, even just a relationship, a healthy relationship, there has to be some vulnerability. There has to be something that I trust this person with, in order for me to unlock what's really available for me in marriage. Vulnerability is kind of like giving somebody the power to hurt you, but trusting them not to. That's how I see vulnerability. Now, I mean, of course, that takes time, especially in this society, because people play so many games. But ultimately, when you're talking about moving forward in a relationship that's really meaningful, especially if you're talking about marriage, you're vulnerable if your woman or your man is cooking for you. Your life is literally in their hands, so you're gonna be vulnerable. But to the point somebody made earlier, just that fear of being hurt, it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and nobody wants to sign up for that. Let me see what we got here. I always say, don't Fuzz Light says, always say, did I lose it? Don't bleed on me. I didn't cut you, baby. Yeah, that's real. That's real. P says, that's why men don't want to marry. Yeah, and look, that's also why a lot of women don't want to marry. There are a lot of women who, a lot of women have lost interest in marriage. Like socially, man, this society is really failing us, because the incentives to get married and to stay married, they're not there in many regards. And now people are getting married more so for the wedding. It's just a big party, a big celebration, big ceremony. But with what it actually means to be married, I don't think most of us haven't even seen a healthy marriage, man. Most of us have not even seen what a healthy marriage looks like. I just turned 50 years old this year. My wife and I have been married for 31 years. This December coming up on 32 years, right? At 50 years old, I have the second longest marriage in my entire family. Second only to my cousin, I think she might be 3 years older than me. And they got married the year before us. So she's got 32 years and I got 31 years. And we are the longest two marriages in my entire family. There are no elders who are 60, 70 plus years old that we can go to and say, that have lit the path for us to kind of draw from, and I think that's sad. Look, I had a cousin, my little cousin, man, I'm all into this stuff and I haven't even touched on the topic yet, but my little cousin came to stay with me, my wife, and my children for I think she was here for about 2 weeks. And she thought that we would be because we sit down and we eat eat at the dinner table together, and we were playing board games together like Monopoly and stuff like that. And she told me that she thought we were being phony and that we were acting like white people because we were doing things as a family. We were eating as a family. We were laughing. She thought the laughter was fake. Look, I'm a jovial guy, man. We laugh a lot around here. And, we playing board games with the family. And, of course, we invited her to play too, but she was looking at us sideways because she had never seen that before. And when I say that, what she hadn't seen before was just a healthy, loving arrangement where we wasn't putting on no show for her. This is what we normally do. We sit down, we eat dinner, and sometimes after dinner, especially on the weekend, we might break out the Monopoly board or Life or whatever game we want to play, categories. Like we corny like that, man. But I think that corny element, what we consider to be corny, is what's missing, man. And she had never seen that before. So how is she supposed to go forward and model that which she has never seen? Most of us are showing up to marriages looking to practice something that we've never even seen. And so we got all these YouTube personalities out here. Everybody's an expert on marriage and relationships. And most people have never even experienced what a healthy relationship looks like, especially us, especially Black folk. Most of us have never even seen what a healthy marriage looks like, much less actually experience one. And so everybody's out here sharing their pain disguised as advice. You got a lot of people out here sharing their pain disguised as advice. And when those of us who are unsuspecting, we don't know. A lot of us don't know. So we take on these experiences, these painful experiences, these traumas that these people have had, and we're thinking that they're offering great sound advice because we can relate to the pain. But how many people are actually out here sharing their success, the pleasure and the joys that they experience in marriage, right? We don't have enough of that, in my opinion. And so it's hard for us to model those things because we're not seeing them, or at least we're not seeing them enough. For as life says, your past can dictate your future. Sometimes you have to take the mask off, trust God to guide you both through the process of like. I saw my great aunts and uncles stay together until they died. Yep, my grandparents did the same. Yeah, and let me see. Those great aunts and uncles had healthy marriages. I can dig it. Let me get into this food for love piece, man, because I kind of wanted to touch on you know, what does that even mean, right? And part of, we hear the songs, why do fools fall in love? There's this one song by this group called Basic Black, Special Kind of Fool for You. I don't know if I might be telling my age, but that came out in the early 90s. And he's just whining, talking about sending her to the credit card. To the mall, and she can max out the credit cards, and she can, it don't matter where she been, as long as she come back home to him. Like, to me, that's crazy, right? You are literally a fool for love. But I think even bigger than that, I think we've been kind of fooled about love. Like Hollywood and the entertainment industry, they give us all these ideas. We're supposed to have all these butterflies, and marriage is supposed to be so magical and mystical and even mythical, right? And it's supposed to be all roses and lollipops and rainbows, but it's not that. Two things, right? Hollywood they lied to us about, how do I say this? They kind of lied to us about what love is, but they told us the truth about what's possible, right? So in other words, I think when couples, like, just to go overseas, and let's go back to India for a second, and we have, and just in many cultures around the world, they have arranged marriages. Like, this idea of marrying for love is only a couple centuries old, right? Like, within the past 200 plus years or so, people just now started getting married for love, romance, right? But outside of the Western world, couples were arranged. There was a dowry paid or what have you, and then they developed love rather than getting married because they fell in love. Does that make sense? Am I making sense? So when you develop love, right? These things that are in these Hollywood songs, not the silly ones like you can be with anybody and then still come home to me, that's garbage, right? But I'm talking about some of the romantic ideas, like what Luther Vandross talks about, or some of the better love songs. None of them are coming to my mind right now, but these Hollywood romances. Look, man, the stuff that they show us in the movies is actually possible. And I'm speaking from personal experience because this is how I feel about my wife. Do I sound soft when I say that? Maybe, but check it. This is how I feel about my wife, but equally important, this is how she behaves and feels toward me too, right? This is why I teach, man, because I show couples how to develop that. We don't know how to develop that. Many people think that spark that you felt in that first 3 months, 6 months, that you can put your relationship on autopilot, and that it just maintains itself. And if it doesn't maintain, then If it doesn't maintain itself, then something went wrong, and now the relationship needs to end because you don't feel those butterflies. They don't teach us how to cultivate those butterflies, or cultivate those strong feelings to keep that love popping, man. And I just told you, I've been married for 31 years. This coming December is 32. And I feel stronger about my wife today than I did on the day we got married. I wish she would come in here and talk, because she's the same way, right? So man, listen, I'm telling y'all that we've been fooled, because they tell us what's possible without telling us how to get it. And they make us think that just because the butterflies and the feelings of euphoria, just because these things, dissipate, that all of a sudden it's not, the marriage is failing or the relationship is failing. And I'm saying that they fooled us. They failed us because this culture doesn't teach us how to cultivate that and keep that going. Am I making sense? Deja says, marrying for love is a sure way to end up divorced. These are facts. Absolute facts. Most people don't survive that. They simply do not survive that. And to the point that Deja made right here, she says, chemistry versus compatibility. Yeah, man, look, that chemistry piece, sparks fly, right? Them sparks fly early. And then we find ourselves 3 months later, 6 months later, even a year later, we're in love with somebody that we don't even like, right? We're trying to maintain a relationship, a loving relationship with somebody that we don't even like. By then, a lot of times we got a baby on the way, bills together, we done moved in together. You know what I mean? Like, and so this compatibility piece is crucial. And unfortunately now so much comes down to the individual taste rather than this higher ideal, whether it's, I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to disappoint the family. I don't want to disappoint the community, right? I don't want to disappoint the social structure. There's no real pressure to stay married now. It's casual. And I think in the 60s, they relaxed the laws around divorce. And so they made divorce not necessarily easy to get, but the idea of getting divorced is much more casual. There's no real stigma around failing at marriage. See, Fuzzlight says, we are all human. No one is perfect. We are imperfect human beings. We have to learn each other and communicate and learn each other's quirks and cultivate each other. Facts. Absolutely. Absolutely. You got to be compatible. Yep. You absolutely have to be compatible. Look, and hit, you want to know something that's challenging, right? Is trying to coach couples, and I do this all the time, coach couples into what a more compatible scenario. Because oil and water is oil and water, right? But there are couples who actually get married, and the only thing they had was that initial chemistry. But they're as different as two left shoes, man. Did I say that right? They're as different as oil and water. How about I say it that way? And so trying to, I say if you're incompatible and no children are involved, no assets are involved, if you feel like you got to go your separate ways, I can dig it. The challenge comes when children are involved. And I'm telling you, my position is when children are involved, I think it's worth going that extra mile and trying to keep that going, because statistically, children have a much higher rate of failure in life. Joining gangs, ending up on drugs, teenage pregnancy, the whole list, man. All kinds of violence. Children have a much higher failure rate when they aren't raised in the home with their biological mother and father. And so I think it's critically important to the health and the well-being of that child who didn't ask to be here, that we put that extra effort forth to maintain that, even if that means we function as friends. And I know a lot of people with this society, we're too selfish to promote an idea that the children come first. Right now, we're in a society where I come first. What I want, what my needs are, come first, and children, they'll be all right. This is what society promotes, but statistically, children will not be all right. And I think it's a much healthier ideal to encourage couples and even help couples to stay together. This is why I'm here, man. This is why I do what I do. Um, Bernard Brown says, my wife passed away 7 years ago. She was very sick and we were so busy, we forgot about us. Mm, wow. We fell back in love, um, basically at the end. Man, my condolences, brother. Sorry that you had to go through that. I know it's been 7 years, but I know that that pain never just completely dies. So my condolences to you and yours for that. It says, now I have a young lady, we in love and with one another, and love is special. Black love. My man. Congratulations to you on that. Congratulations to you on that. When children are involved, you sacrifice your love for them. I agree. I agree. That man, look, I think the sacrifice is tremendous. But it's I think it's worth it. It's because it's for their well-being. And I don't know, man. Like I said, I think we promote, a lot more self first here. Fuzz Light says, how do you not give up on a man if he's scared and he admits it? Heavy, heavy. How do you not give up on a man if he's scared and he admits it? So one, that brother, and you can even flip it because there are a lot of women who are the same way. Excuse me. People need counseling. People need counseling. People need coaching because that fear is paralyzing, and it's hard to move forward with somebody who's paralyzed by fear. So I say, get that person, get that brother to a coach or a counseling. This is what I do. If you don't already have one, bring them to me. Y'all can come to me together, or he can come to me by himself, and we can work past that, especially if he's a good man. Because hey man, this society is not churning out good people left and right. I think good people are at a premium these days. So I don't know, my 2 cents. I think if he's a good man, he's just a little bit scared. I think that's workable. And so I would encourage you to get some counseling, get some coaching, and I love to do it if you don't already have one. That's what I say. Let me see. What else did I have? Let me ask you this. Well, hold on. Let me think of how I want to say this. This is kind of in the point that you just made, Fuzz Lights. A lot of marriages require way more work than what most people are capable of, right? A lot of marriages, a lot of relationships require way more work than what most people are capable of. So here's what I mean. In marriage now, or in health, in many relationships, I got to be your best friend. I got to be your confidant. I got to be your lover. I also got to be your therapist. I got to be your shoulder to cry on. And on top of all that, I still got to be your sex machine. And I got to be your financier, right? I got to have money. Most of us are simply not insightful enough or even capable enough of being all those things. This is why a social safety net, a social, how do I say this? A social network. Like I just made a post earlier today about the importance of having my brother. All men need a man that they can rely on, confide in, and converse deeply with. That was my post, right? And I'm so thankful that I have my brother for that. But I also have a network of good brothers I have several brothers that I can talk to, right? I think that's healthy for us to have people that we can talk to, and in confidence, particularly, right? And again, that's not in enough abundance, in my opinion. But to the point that I was just making, most relationships require much more from us than what we're capable of offering to that relationship. And so for that reason, this is why I encourage couples, get yourself into a relationship coaching scenario, relationship counseling, marriage counseling, therapy. Most of us are just, we pretend very well, right? But most of us are not okay. Most of us are not okay. And we can fake it, but in the end, when it really hits the fan, to this point that Fuzz Light just asked, how do you not give up on a man who's scared and he admits it? When it really comes time to get to that next level of the relationship, we start to shake a little bit. We start to get a little nervous. We're afraid of being vulnerable because we're afraid of being hurt. And if you're in a relationship with that type of person, yeah, again, most of us are not equipped to be that person's counselor, therapist, etc. And partly, they're partly looking at you like, you got something to gain. So how much do they really trust you with this sensitive information and their most vulnerable parts? Let me see. We'll check some of these comments. Bernard Brown says, Black people don't love counseling because they feel they can take care of it on their own. Facts. And we cannot. We are not equipped. I mean, man, I am 50 years old and I've been studying for years and I'm still learning. We we cannot take care of it on our own. The overwhelming majority of us, right? And look, and when I say overwhelming majority, I'm going to say better than 90%, right? Watch this. Everybody thinks that they're in that 10% that can take care of it on their own. Chances are you're not, right? Deja says, I think it's imperative to have safe spaces outside of your spouse. I don't expect my man to be my everything. I don't want that type of pressure on myself. Yeah. And again, most of us are simply not capable of that anyway. It's unrealistic to expect that. The hard part, though, is unfortunately finding those healthy arrangements where you have that confidant, that person that you can go to, and then trust that they're going to offer you sound wisdom, right? That's in short supply. Most of us didn't grow up respecting our elders like that, grandparents. Like, there's such a disconnect between the young and the old, right? So we go to our peers oftentimes. Girl, I wouldn't take that if I was you. Oh, bro, I wouldn't take that from that half. Yeah, we go into peer. These are lateral conversations. What we need, though, are wise elders that we can talk to, that we can take some of these challenges to and say, 20 years ago, I know you thought just like me, but now you've seen 20 years into the future. What do you think about this scenario? And I'm telling you, if you find yourself a wise elder, man, he or she is worth their weight in gold. We gotta get back to that, leaning on our elders. Bernard Brown says, "You're right, my brother. Yes, indeed." For his life says, "It's okay to not be okay. Just don't stay there." Absolutely, 100%. It is okay to not be okay. Just don't stay there. And there are pathways. If you don't like me, look, you don't have to like me. Some people don't like the sound of my voice. They don't like the shape of my head. Maybe they don't like the gray on my face, whatever, right? It don't have to be me. Find somebody. There are tons of good coaches out. I don't know about tons. Let me rephrase that. There are several good coaches out there. My man, Lynn Sturdivant, you know what I mean? Shameless plug, relationshipcoach.pro. Look, I'm not so stuck on getting all the glory for myself that you have to come to me and I won't share the shine with nobody else. There's Manwasha Edu, the Edu family. They're the Ma'ats, Ayize and Ayana Ma'at. There's several relationship coaches out here who are really good at what they do. I like to throw my name in that hat because I think I'm pretty good at what I do. But find yourself somebody, man, and get yourself in front of a coach. Especially early in the relationship, you know what I mean? Before you start accumulating these different pains, because it's much harder to undo the mistakes than it is to prevent them. What they say, an ounce of cure is worth more than how does it go? An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, or something like that. I'll be messing slogans up and cliches up. Deja says some people's only answer to conflict resolutions is cutting people off. So you do have to be careful about who you talk to. Absolutely. Absolutely. You do. Yeah. And this is, people, we brag about cutting each other off now. We brag about it. And oftentimes we're cutting people off where there's actually a healthy resolution available. But we don't have, to your point, we don't have these conflict resolution skills, right? Everybody thinks that they're the smartest cat in the room, right? And most of us, we're not insightful enough. I don't want to say smart necessarily, that we're not smart necessarily, but some of this stuff requires a deeper level of insight and study and training, and most of us just don't have that. Let me see. Some people cut off game is so strong they will just walk away instead of communicating. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But again, now that cutoff game is a defense mechanism more so than it's false bravado. It's a false sense of strength, a false sense of a false sense of showing strength. It's really oftentimes it's actually a cover up for the weakness and the refusal to be vulnerable in scenarios where if we lend ourselves to the vulnerability, these relationships are actually salvageable. Many of them, not all of them. Some people you got to cut off, right? Some people are so toxic and bring, some people you can give and give and give, and all they give you in return is their ass to kiss. We don't want we don't want to cultivate relationships with those types of people. But again, many of these relationships are indeed salvageable. This is the fools for love piece, right? We don't understand. Many of us don't understand what it takes to actually persevere through some of these trials, some of these tough times, right? But you'd be surprised how many people I get sit in front of me and they swear to God that the relationship is over. And we just come to you as a last resort. And they come and they sit down and be like, damn, I wish I had known this 5 years ago. I had a brother tell me, working on his third marriage, right? Working on his third marriage. He said, damn, man, if I had known the things that you're sharing with me, I would still be with my first wife. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I'm kind of bragging on myself a little bit because I am good. I'm that good. But again, even if you don't dig my style, there are people out here who are just as good or may even be better suited for you. I don't care who you go to. All I care is that you go, right? Get yourself in front of a coach or a counselor or a therapist and see what's salvageable about these relationships. Let me see. What else do I have here? I put a couple of notes down. Let me ask y'all this. Let me ask you this. Is there a difference between making love and having sex? Is there a difference between making love and having sex? And if so, what's the difference? What is the difference between making love and having sex? Is that even possible? Is there even such a thing as making love during this whole, what does that look like? I know what it looks like. I ain't talking about the insert part, right? Is there a difference between making love and having sex? And if so, what's the difference? Excuse me. Let me go ahead and get me a drink real quick. I'm running my mouth. My throat is dry. No takers. What's the difference between making love and having sex? Is there a difference? Fuzz Lights, first taker, says, I think intimacy plays a vital part in sex and vulnerability. I can dig it. Intimacy. So, intimacy is, I think it's an often overused term. And I like to make it simple. I think intimacy, it can be broken down into 3 words. Is it 4 words? Into me, see. Into me, 2 words. Into me, see. That's 3 words, right? Intimacy, into me, see. Intimacy is just another way of saying I'm giving you a deeper look at the most vulnerable parts of myself. And I think, Lisa Irvan says commitment. Yeah, absolutely. I think intimacy is often the key piece between we just having sex versus we at that next stage of the game, that next level of the game, and we actually creating something here, right? That's where you get the fruit of that sexual encounter, right? Most people just want the nut, right? I'm talking about nuts versus fruit, right? The fruit that you get from that intimate connection is where the real stuff happens. Now, look, I might sound kind of corny. I might sound kind of soft. I might even sound kind of crazy to a lot of y'all, but I'm telling you, man, that intimacy piece opens the gateway for the next level of the game. And I think a lot of us are not able to get there because we're afraid of that vulnerability piece. Am I making sense? I hope that makes sense. Let's see. Bernard Brown says, yes, make love your passion. In it, have sex, and you just going with the motion, specifically if you have problems in your marriage. Yep. Look, most of us, most people, when we get together for the sexual encounter, we just using each other's bodies to masturbate. That's really, we just like the friction and it feels good. But what's really available in these sexual encounters, we're not even scratching the surface of that. I mean, we do from the standpoint that our feelings get caught up, and you know, it drives a lot of us crazy because we don't know how to bring the thing full circle, right? So we get that great feeling, and that person touches that spot the way, you know, or that connection is strong. But since we don't know how to cultivate that connection, it ends up just, you know, making more of a mess of things than actually allowing us to build into something that it should be, or that it could be. I have this. Let me put this book up here. This is the book that me and my wife wrote, and so in this, I don't know how good y'all can see that, but there's a measuring cup. Can I reach it? There we go. A measuring cup, and that measuring cup is pouring out ingredients, right? And I call that the conditions of love. These different ingredients are the conditions of love. So, in other words, this is part of how we make love, right? So, in these ingredients, I have communication, right? Communication has to be healthy. Intimacy, we talked about that. Respect, thoughtfulness, affection, understanding, compassion, compromise, trust. And then here's the other piece that a lot of us leave out: complementarity, right? And you can add anything, you can add other ingredients to that, you know, healthy, a little bit of lust is healthy, right? You can add that. You can add all kinds of things, but if you take away any of those things, I promise you, you're going to have a much more challenging time at establishing that connection, right? So I think there are conditions to love, man. And so what they shared with us is this: Hollywood has shared with us this idea of unconditional love. And you got all people out here, man. You hear songs about it, unconditional love. You hear people talking about looking for unconditional love. What I want is that unconditional love. Listen, I say this all the time. If you want unconditional love, my Doberman will be having puppies here in about 2 months. That's about as close as you're going to get to unconditional love. You get you a puppy, get you a dog, they're going to love you almost regardless of what you do. But in an intimate relationship, it don't work like that. There are conditions. And I don't care how much you love a person, if you're going to tell me that there's something they can do to make you walk away from that relationship, then that means it's conditional. Am I making sense? I hope I'm making sense. Let's see. How do you get love? Bernard Brown says, how do you get love back in your relationship? That's a good question. I like that. I like that question. And look, you know, my wife and I actually have another book coming out. It's a dating book. I probably shouldn't have spilled the beans on that yet because it's not out yet. But you got to cultivate it, man. You have to do the things that got you there in the first place. Look, I have this slogan that I often say. I say successful couples are not successful because they do extraordinary things. They're successful because they do ordinary things better than other couples. What are some of those ordinary things? Well, what were you doing in the first place? If you're a man, you know, if your lady likes flowers, get her some flowers. If she likes chocolate, get her some chocolate. Go to the movies, play games. Like, where's the laughter at in your relationship? Where's the peace in your relationship when each of you comes home? Do you look forward to coming home, you know, to whoever's waiting on you? Do you look forward to spending time together? Do things that you did in the beginning to help cultivate reestablishing those good feelings. You know, that initial spark is that initial spark, right? I don't know that you'll ever necessarily get it back to that level, but you can still bring it back to a level of a high level of enjoyment, right? Where you actually enjoy each other's company. How am I'm speaking on this from experience, right? Because again, I go back to the fact that this is my 31st year of marriage. And there are still times when my wife asks me to stay home from work. She just wants me to stay home and kick it. Just stay home and we don't have to do nothing. Just stay home. Let's watch movies. Let's just chill because she enjoys my company. And sometimes I stay home because I enjoy her company too, right? What am I saying? That's a long saying. Do things that make the other person enjoy being around you, right? And so oftentimes that involves us getting out of our own way. We got a lot of mental hangups, a lot of emotional hangups. And so we get in the way a lot of times where something that somebody said to us a month ago, a year ago, we haven't gotten over that. Maybe you said something bad about my mama, or maybe you said something bad about one of my kids, or whatever it is, right? There are things that sometimes this is where coaching comes in. We help get over those roadblocks. But at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Are you pleasant to be around? And you can be, right? But sometimes we get so comfortable and get so complacent in this person being here that we lose sight of the idea that they don't owe us their presence, right? You don't look. There is, what's the word I'm looking for here? Nobody owes you the benefit of their presence. And so I think if you want that person to stay around, you got to kind of do things that make them enjoy being around, right? And for every couple that's different, but that's the long short of it, man. How do you get love back in your relationship? What's that song? The same thing it took to get your baby hook is the same thing it takes to keep them, right? So that's the long short of it. But outside of that, I mean, I don't know, what you might have personally going on, but yeah, that's the long short of it. Let me see. What else? Did I have any other questions? Or anything else I wanted to talk about? We got a lot of unrealistic ideas too, man. Like I I mean, when I was growing up, I thought as a young man that girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice, right? And the movies show us this soft, sensitive side, and I just thought that if you choose any woman, you can choose any woman, and if you just love her enough, the love songs they get you thinking crazy, right? The movies they got you thinking all these women are just so tender and soft and so vulnerable, right? It's some cold-hearted women out here, just like it's some cold-hearted dudes out here, right? So there is no one size fits all, and we have to be, of course, aware of some of the dangers that are out here because they're real. But Hollywood, they made a fool out of us because they didn't give us the real on how cold the game is, man. The game is cold, and people have all kind of emotional issues. Narcissism is the word that's being thrown around now, right? Toxic masculinity, and now what's new on the horizon now is people are talking more about toxic femininity, right? So I think just finding out what it means to be in relationship with this person that ultimately you're trying to spend some time with. How do they add value to your life? Equally important, how do you add value to their life? Right? These are conversations that we should be having conversations about what a meaningful relationship looks like going forward before we even have sex. Right? If I was a young man getting married all over again? Um, the types of conversations about what does it mean to me when I say husband, and what does it mean to me when I say wife, right? Do we have the same idea about what that means? So when my wife says I want you to be my husband, and then I say, yeah, I'm going to be your husband, do we mean the same thing when we both say husband? Because if I'm thinking husband means I'm gonna go out, work 40 hours a week, and I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna relax. But in her mind, if she's thinking husband means not only are you gonna go to work, and work 40 hours a week, but I also need you to be a handyman around the house. I need you to be able to fix the car. If you can't fix the car, you ain't no man. If she's thinking that, we got a problem. If I'm not also able to fall in line with that, or if she thinks you're supposed to build our house with your bare hands from the ground up, maybe get a team, but I want you involved in the process because my granddaddy built his own house from the ground up. And if you can't do that, you ain't no man. If she's thinking that, that's a problem. If I can't also do that, or if I'm not also thinking that. Conversely, if I'm thinking I want you to be my wife, and in my mind, I'm thinking a wife has my food ready when I come home from work. My wife has the house clean when I come home from work. But in her mind, she's thinking, I want to be the next Fortune 500 CEO. I got my own business I'm running. And in her mind, if she's thinking, we both cooking, we both clean, we share the chores, we share the responsibilities, that's a clash, right? So these are conversations, even parenting, right? What does it mean? What ideas do we have about being a parent? There are parents who want their children homeschooled, or there are parents who want private school. There are parents who are opposed to both of those and they want their children to have a real experience and they want them to go to public school. These are conversations that we should be having before we even enter the arrangement, because really, we're supposed to be hammering out a deal. This is supposed to be an agreement that we come together under this agreement and we move forward in, rather than getting caught up in the feelings first, only to find out that once the feelings fade, I don't really like you anyway. I hope that makes sense. But these are ways that society has made a fool out of us for love, because it failed us, man. And really, most of this stuff that I'm sharing right now, we shouldn't have even they should not. It's a crime against humanity, in my opinion, to even allow us to graduate 8th grade, to even go into high school without having a better understanding about what a healthy relationship looks like. And we definitely should not have been allowed to graduate high school without some real working tools for relationships. So I say society has made a fool out of us. This society has made a fool out of us because they didn't give us healthy relationship tools. So in short, I think that's why, as much as anything else, this is what makes us, I won't say we're a fool for love. I think that with us not being able to, with them not giving us the tools that we need, and us not having what it takes, it almost makes a fool out of us, because we lead with our hearts and we mean well, but like they say, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? And so we end up not having what it takes, and we fail in relationships that could have otherwise worked. So I don't know. I'm gonna look and see if we have any other comments, questions, complaints, concerns. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Otherwise, I'm gonna go ahead and sign off. I think I kind of shared the points that I wanted to share. Let me see. Any other? Let me see. Yeah, I think that's about it. That's about all I wanted to talk about. Man, I appreciate y'all. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. For that, I'm eternally thankful. Look, got books on Amazon. You got the Heart Work book, 31 Days to Mastering Your Relationship. That's on Amazon. We got a nice little coloring book that my wife put together. You know what I mean? Black children need to see themselves in the images that they color, man, in the artwork, right? So that's on Amazon. Magnificently Me, an ABC coloring book. Real dope pictures, man. I mean, these are some real. Let me show you some of the kids in this book real quick. I'm just gonna pull up one. These are real. These are real looking children, man. That look like Black children. You know what I mean? That looks just like my grandson. That is my grandson's name. And the picture, there it is right there. And the picture actually looks like my grandson, right? So she she put that together. And then the last but not least, sometimes it gets a little boring in relationships, man. What do couples need a little something to do, right? So there's a word search that we put together. Man, this thing is thicker than the Bible, man. I think it's got a few thousand words in here too, man. This is but just nice little something fun, different for the couples to do to break up the monotony. And even as an individual, man, if you like word searches like I do, I'm a nerd, so I sit around and I do stuff like this just to kind of keep my mind sharp. But all those things can be found on Amazon. I forgot to tell y'all the name of it. It's the Ultimate Word Search. And you'll see the logo. That's my logo. The Conditions of Love is hard work, not hard work. But that's it, family. I appreciate y'all. My man Garen Black says another banger in the books. Yeah, we got 3, man. We got like 2 or 3 more coming this year if everything goes well. Got to get these puppies out. You know, people love Doberman Pinschers, so you know, we got to take care of those, and that's a lot of work. So got a lot of irons in the fire, man. But just trying to serve, man. That's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do. But I appreciate y'all, man. Like I said, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and for that, I'm eternally thankful, family. Appreciate y'all. info@conditionsoflove.com. If you want to work with me, if I said anything valuable to you that you feel might be of service, of course, you can contact me here on Facebook. You can also contact me at info@conditionsoflove.com. Peace, family.